Welcome back to the Hockey Show, and today, of course, we are talking about the Florida Panthers sweeping the Carolina Hurricanes and going on to the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time since 1996. And wow, this was amazing. Florida is just primed and ready for the Stanley Cup. Their story of being, it's like the St. Louis Blues where they were out of the playoffs and they didn't even know they could be in the playoffs, and another team screwed up their chances. They get in. They play the best team of regular season hockey of all time, and they fight and battle to Game 7. And then they go on to the NHL's darling and one of the biggest fan bases, one of the best teams in the Toronto Maple Leafs, and make them look like a joke. And now here we are, and they're beaten and swept under the rug. The Carolina Hurricanes, a team that I have been saying is a Stanley Cup worthy team since before the season started, and they have done it without, well, actually, Carolina was pretty good, I gotta say. I'm just going to skip ahead to my segment here about the Hurricanes, that they were fantastic in this series. Games 1 to 3 were theirs. They were just out-goalied. They were just beaten by the other team, which there is no, I mean, there is kind of shame in that, but there is no shame in that. That was their games. Games 1, 2, and 3, hands down, I think if you watched any of the games, or anybody, if you think that was Florida's games, no chance. That was all Carolina. Those games, I would say up to 90% that they were the better team of those games. It's just they could not beat Bobrovsky. This Game 4, though, was the first time that Carolina, I will say, was beaten. I don't know if it was, they looked slower, they looked more doubtful about themselves, they were trying to be a little bit chippier, I think, but I think at the end of the day, it didn't pay off because that's Florida's game, and it didn't work out, because this was the first game where I think Florida actually outplayed the Carolina Hurricanes. All the other games, 1 to 3, Carolina's game. This was the first time where I was like, Florida is the better team. They're hitting harder. They're getting better chances to score. They're beating Anderson when they need to. Carolina's goals against Bobrovsky, the Paul Stastny one, I think it was their first goal, was just complete. I hate calling it just luck, but Bobrovsky rolls over and the puck just is 1 centimeter away from his body that he just misses it. So their goals, good goals scored by Carolina, but first game that they lost, that they weren't the better team. And that's just because they try to change things up. They try to play different to try to match Florida, to change things up, and good for them. They needed to do something different because obviously their skilled play of playing better than them wasn't going to work. Maybe trying to play their game, trying to play at their level, slow things down could work, but I mean, they scored the most goals they have this series, but unfortunately, it does not work out as Florida scores 4 more. And you know why? It's because this team has every single piece to the puzzle there is. All the things that are needed. On surface, goaltending, they've got that. Defense, incredible. Mark Stahl, Radko Gudas, guys like Mahura, guys like Brandon Montour are freaking incredible defensemen. And that's not even mentioning Aaron Ekblad. Offense, oh my god, do they have offense. Every single line is just absolutely incredible. Absolutely fantastic how this team is so good offensively. Each line, even guys like Nick Cousins being a factor. And then you've got it all capped by Matthew Tkachuk, who is a absolute gem, a beast. Bizanet said it himself that he is the best American player right now in the world. Matthews is fantastic. Patrick Kane is the old. Matthew Tkachuk, his gritty style, his determination, and his skill. I feel like people forget. He had that amazing between-the-legs one-timer. Like, this guy has magic tricks that he can do, right? He isn't just a hitter. He's not just a grinder. He's not just a rat. He's not just a big hitter. He is a grinder. He is the all-around player that you need. He's everything that a good player needs to be. And he's only, what is he, 25, 24, maybe? I'm not even sure about that. He is fantastic, all-around player, and he signed with this team for 8 years. I can't wait to see what this guy can do in Florida in that amount of time, because he is fantastic. But those are just the surface-level things. Because Matthew Tkachuk, I think he is kind of the metaphor for this team. Determined, gritty, hard-hitting, intense, patient. I don't like to say the commentators that kept saying, like, look how patient he was to be able to hold on to that puck for 1 second longer. And they kept mentioning this. I like the commentators, what they kept saying last night, is that you do need, John Cooper said it as well, and that's why they keep bringing back to it, is yes, you do need some lucky bounces to win games and series, right? I mean, just take it if you've ever played NHL or any game against your friends or something like that, where it's like you just need a little bit of luck, right? The thing is, you need a little bit of luck, but then you need to actually score on those lucky opportunities, right? And that's what Florida does. Teams like Carolina are screwing up against Bobrovsky and not being able to bury it. The Toronto Maple Leafs, they could not score anything. They did get the lucky bounces, but they weren't able to score on any of them. Florida is the kingpin of scoring on those opportunities. Matthew Tkachuk especially. Now, yes, I mean, this one isn't really a good example of it, but that last goal, the 4.3 seconds left that Matthew Tkachuk scores on, I know that's not a lucky bounce, but for him to come up to the dot and for the goaltender to screw up, I'm pretty sure the consensus is that that's a good goal. I don't think there's any way. Lundqvist brought up a good point of, like, Anderson doesn't look like he's able to kick his foot out, which I guess I do see that he's not able to get his skate on the ice to kick over. But at the same time, I didn't see that much of an effort from him to try to get over there, so there is that too. He didn't really sell it very well, to me especially. He did not look like he was trying to move and he was being held back, so that might be an issue by Anderson to not have tried hard enough or acted hard enough, because it looked like he had no issue and he just didn't read the play there. But Matthew Tkachuk, I think what most players would have done and what Carolina Hurricanes probably would have done is that when they cut up to the middle, that first half, the first like fake shot, they would have most likely have shot it. But instead, Matthew Tkachuk, being the clutch player he is, Matthew Clutch, he holds on to the puck for 1 second longer, one stick handle longer, and finds the open space and scores, right? And that's the difference between these type of teams that go to the finals and are like the Hurricanes that deserve it, but they don't. Because they're missing that one guy who's like, hold on, one more stick movement and then shoot it. That's what the Hurricanes are missing. They're missing that man, the hero, that's going to save the day. Like the Panthers have with Matthew Tkachuk, right? That is who they're missing. In series past, like Braden Points or Kucherov's for the for the Lightning. With the Avalanche, they're missing a guy like Nathan MacKinnon, who's going to skate up. I mean, I know a lot of teams are missing a Nathan MacKinnon. But guys like Sebastian Aho, guys like Svechnikov, sure, those guys are amazing, and I know they're missing Svechnikov, but I don't think they're really that type of player. I don't see Svechnikov or Aho being that, I'm going to be the man here and score that goal. Sure, they can do it, but they're not going to be as consistent as Matthew Tkachuk, scoring 9 goals in this series, 4 game-winning goals, 3 in overtime, I believe. Now this game winner right at the last few seconds of the game. That is why this team is so perfect. They've got every single piece of the puzzle. Determination, grit, passion, emotion, intelligence hockey. Like, they've got it all. They block shots. They've got a good goaltender. They play defense and offense. They forecheck. They backcheck. They've got every piece of the puzzle, and they're determined to win the cup. They look fantastic. And here's the thing. Whether it's Vegas or Dallas, probably Vegas at this point, right? Florida, I just see, is really hard for me to see them eliminated because they've won in every way. They've won when it came to a push-to-shove series between the Bruins and the Panthers going to Game 7. They've won the Game 7 series. They've won the series where they were the way better dominant team against the Toronto Maple Leafs. And now they've even won this series where they were even the worst team. Florida, they have it all. They've won in every scenario. They've been hot ever since they needed to make it into the playoffs. And it's just so hard for me to see a team like Vegas, who is a good team, but not as good as the Bruins. I would say the Vegas Golden Knights aren't even as good as the Maple Leafs, and especially not as good as the Carolina Hurricanes. They're very strong defensively, but I just don't see any way that they're able to shut down. They're being able to shut down the offense of the Dallas Stars, but it's such a different dynamic there. With the Dallas Stars, they're very run and gun. They're very rush into the zone and shoot it in. They've been very good at shutting those guys down. But the Florida Panthers, they've got so many more layers to that, you know? They've got so many more offensive opportunities to score. They can score that in the zone scoring. They can score with the defense, you know? Like with the Dallas Stars, they've got good defense back there, especially guys like Miro Heiskanen. He's only got one goal, and I don't even think it should have been credited to him. So I think Vegas, it's going to be kind of tough series for them. I would not be surprised if we got another two-way where Tampa Bay wins five games in the series against the Canadiens and the Dallas Stars, where it was all Tampa Bay except one game where the other team stood up. I think Vegas is going to have a tough time. Florida looks primed. They've got everything going for them. They look spectacular. And I don't see a way. I don't see a way where they get eliminated. They're just so good. Everything's going for them. And I don't see a way. I don't see them being able to give up. I don't see a way where Vegas, it goes up a game and then Florida doesn't go. No way, no way in hell are we allowing you to get to 2. So that's all I got to say. Florida looks amazing. They win the Eastern Conference Championship. Fantastic. Can't wait to see what they do in the the finals. And that's all I've got to say. So thank you for watching this. If you made it this far, please, I'm begging you, pick up your free subscription. And until next time, too sweet. Have an amazing day. And ta-ta for now.